Hello, everyone, and welcome to my B2 High Intermediate English course. In this module, you will learn second and third conditional type sentences and their main difference. At the end, you will get to practice what you just learned with a few sample exercises. Let's get started. Okay, so looking briefly at these charts, second conditional, first of all, we use the second conditional to talk about present or future hypothetical or unreal situations, something we imagine. Okay, so for example, if a condition existed, we have a comma, the result would be true. Okay, so we know it starts with an if clause and then there's the result clause. So the if clause uses past simple or it can use the continuous. And then the main clause uses would, could, or even might. Um, and then plus the verb here, infinitive. Sometimes you can use be plus the ing form of a verb. So, for example, if I won the lottery, I would buy a yacht or I would be buying a yacht. Okay, let's look at third conditional. You're assuming if only the situation were different. So we use the third conditional to talk about past, hypothetical, or unreal situations. So the structure is if a condition had existed, the result would have been true. So the situation is already in the past. We can't change it. So the if clause uses the past perfect. It can also use past perfect continuous. And then the main or result clause uses would, could, or might plus have, and then past participle. So, for example, if you had come to class, you would have passed the exam, but it really means you didn't come to class. So that's why. Okay, let's talk about second conditional. So we use the second conditional to talk about hypothetical or imaginary situations in the present or the future. We can use the past simple or past continuous in the if clause, and we can use would, could, or might plus a simple infinitive, do, or continuous form like to be doing in the main clause. So here are some examples. If there were a fire, it would be impossible to escape. If you weren't making so much noise, I could concentrate. Or I wouldn't drive a car if I lived in the city. So we have this turned around. The if clause is last in this sentence. If it weren't for him, I might not be talking to you right now. Okay, so when we use the verb be in the if clause, we can use either was, this is more common in spoken English, or were, and this is more formal, after I, he, she, or it. But when we're giving advice, we always use if I were you, not if I was you. All right. Okay. Second conditional continued using be. For example, if he was or were rich, he wouldn't be living in this house. Or if I were you, I would, or I'd call her as soon as possible. So we don't want to use was in this case. All right, because it's advice. Okay, as with all conditional types, we use a comma after the if clause when it goes at the beginning of the sentence, but we don't use a comma when the if clause comes at the end. So when the main clause comes first. So for example, if I were you, comma, I might wait before making a decision. And then when we turn this around, it's I might wait before making a decision if I were you, no comma used. And then this one, if she had a background in education, comma, she would be a successful teacher. And then when we switch them around, she would be a successful teacher if she had a background in education. No commas used. Okay. Okay. Third conditional. We use the third conditional to talk about hypothetical or imaginary situations in the past. We can use the past perfect or past perfect continuous in the if clause, and we can use would, could, or might, and then plus the perfect infinitive in the main clause. So you'll see some examples. In this part, we use have plus the past participle. So we have, um, if you had come to class more often, you would have passed the course. So using here in the if clause, past perfect had come, then you would have passed the course. So we've got would plus the present perfect here. Um, and then there's I wouldn't have been late if I hadn't overslept. Okay, past perfect here, and then this is negative, wouldn't, and then have been late. So present perfect here. And then this one, he could have died if he hadn't been wearing a helmet. Or if the jacket had been a bit cheaper, I might have bought it. So, so basically we're asking in third conditional, what if the situation were different? Um, so for example, uh, the fact here, if he hadn't been wearing a helmet, he was wearing a helmet, this really means. So he didn't get hurt or anything. Or this last one, about the jacket. Um, so if what if it were cheaper? Then what would have happened? I would have bought it, right? Okay, well, we're going to move on to a few sample exercises and have some fun and see what we know so far. Okay, so second and third conditionals. So from the drop-down menu, we'll choose the which one goes. So if he jobs, he would be a lot happier. Okay, so it's second conditional. So would have changed, would change, or changed. Okay, remember what goes in the if clause here? So if you chose the last one, change, that would be correct. Okay, number two, if I were you, I told, had told, or would tell her that I love her. Okay, again, this is second conditional. So, all right, so if you chose the last one, it's contracted, but it's would tell, that would be correct. Okay, third one, even if he would ask, had asked, or asked them, they wouldn't have agreed to come. So this is third conditional. Um, so what would be the correct form? All right, so if you chose the middle one, had asked, because it's past perfect, that would be the correct one. All right, number four, if she hadn't threatened him, he wouldn't leave, wouldn't have left, or hadn't left. Okay, so here in this part, what do we use? Present perfect? Okay, so All right, so the middle one, if you chose that, wouldn't have left. That would be correct. Okay, try number 5. I didn't trust, wouldn't trust, or hadn't trusted him if I were you. Okay, that's advice, but second conditional. All right, so if you chose the middle one, wouldn't trust, that would be correct for that one. Okay, number 2, or exercise 2. This one is multiple choice. So, so number 1, if she were, had been, would be, or would have been more experienced, she would be more likely to get the job. So, right, so it's second conditional. Okay, so if you chose option A, were, that would be the correct one. Uh, Past simple. Okay, number 2, if the food wasn't, hadn't been, wouldn't be, or wouldn't have been so bad, we wouldn't have complained. Okay, so this case, what do we want? The past perfect? Yes, so if you chose the second option or option B, hadn't been, that would be correct. Okay, number 3, if I, her, she might feel a bit better. Okay, so this is second conditional. Okay, was calling, called, would call, or would have called. Okay, all right, so if you chose option B, called, past simple, that would be correct. All right, one more maybe. If it wasn't raining, we had, we'd have, or we'd been had a picnic today. Okay, so second conditional. Um, okay, so if you chose option C, would have, that would be the correct one. So, okay, because apostrophe D is we would. Okay, let's check the third exercise really quick. See what's there. We'll do a few of these. Okay, so if the world's big problems had been addressed sooner, our lives we have improved a long time ago. So for this verb, so this one is third conditional. Do you remember what form you'd use? So we have would, have improved. So present perfect, there we go. But politicians and world leaders don't do enough to improve the quality of life. If I had any power, we got try to stop the destruction of our planet. Okay, do this part first. I, okay, so we know we use would. Okay, so try. So all right, so the simple infinitive, we know this is second conditional. Would try to stop. Okay, the destruction of our planet, and I make the world a better place for all people. Okay, again, this is second conditional. Would make. So that would be it for that. Okay. First of all, I would try to stop wars because unless we put an end to all the wars, millions of people continue to die every day. Okay, so I'll just do this one. Millions of people. Okay, so it would be would continue. Again, second conditional. Okay, I guess we'll stop there. Well, you did a great job on these exercises. It shows that you were listening well. All right, well, I can help you learn to speak English with more confidence. I'm TESOL certified. I teach native U.S. English. I'm experienced in online tutoring, and I work with all learning levels and most age groups. So, whether you need help with grammar, speaking, vocabulary, or writing, or any other area, you've come to the right place. Well, thank you for watching my video and happy learning.